Germany is changing really fast and lost their identity.
Berlin, once divided by the Berlin Wall, still feels divided today. In the last video, we saw why many believe the divide is still there. With the rise of the AfD becoming the second largest party in the German election, some believe the country is moving backwards to the 1930s.
We are talking about fascism rising.
They're Nazis! Yeah. Racist, anti-LGBTQ.
Migration plays a big part in the divide, as Germany takes in the third largest amount of refugees in the world, with 2024 being the highest year on record, with over 3.4 million refugees now in the country.
Would you let them into your house to live if they needed it?
I say, answer the question, would you do this?
If you have a country like Germany, where you have another few million immigrants come in from countries that are totally culturally incompatible with Germany, then it doesn't matter what I think about Europe. Germany will have killed itself.
Concerns over national security have grown, and a surge in terror attacks in the past year has raised questions on who comes in and who goes out.
That's why we say, first of all, is secure the border.
Ausländer raus! Deutschland den Deutschen! Ausländer raus!
But before meeting with Martin, a member of the AfD, and visiting Europe's largest refugee centre, I want to know what Berlin locals had to say after the election.
So you're local to Berlin. What's your opinion on migration?
I'm from Berlin and I grew up in a primary where the majority of the people had a migration background, and for me it was a kind of richness, a cultural richness. And for this, I love to live in Berlin.
What's your opinions on multiculturalism in general? Do you think it's working right now, maybe just within Europe?
Well, I think it's always working because migration is like part of our basics as far as I'm concerned. What is not working is people's opinion on migration nowadays and the populism that is thriving.
I think it's a really big problem that it's made out to be such a big problem by right-wing extremists or other politicians, because people have a right to get away from wars, from climate change.
Do you believe Germany should be importing illegal migrants from, say, Afghanistan and Syria?
Yeah, for sure. Yes, for sure.
Why?
All countries where it is necessary.
Why do you think that?
Because if you have a country where there's war, nobody wants to live in a country where there's war, you know?
Yeah.
So if I have war here in our country, I also want that other countries give us a chance to go there and live there in peace and happiness.
How do you feel about the open border policy that Germany is kind of implementing? I know they're trying to tighten it at the minute, but do you think they should have an open border policy, welcoming anyone and everyone?
I would say yes. Yeah. Of course, definitely. I think it should be easier to get into Germany or like Europe in general, so that everyone is safe here and we are helping them because they are in danger. It's also our responsibility.
With colonialism and the whole history, and also with having wars at different parts of the world, it's German weapons and European weapons that are causing the problems, and also our wealth that is causing the problem in the world, where refugees are seeking refuge in these countries. So it's not that easy to say we are welcoming people, because we are also responsible for a lot of global inequality.
As an architect, being trained as an architect, there's only limited space sometimes, for a certain period of time.
Yeah.
Kind of housing crisis is not helping. I have friends that are kind of pointing at migrants, saying that's the reason why.
When a person who's traumatized and has the right to get asylum here tries to get that right, you can't just say, okay, this is the amount of people we're taking and not more.
Right now in Germany, do you think migration is working?
No.
Why is that?
Because the people who are come from different countries, I wouldn't say they help the people to migrate into this society. It's not about the people, it's about the regime, I would say. They're not helping enough.
I think it's very difficult for them. And I have a lot of friends from Afghanistan, and I know that they have so many problems. And I think we would have less problems with migration if we would help them more for integration.
Just over the past 12 months, Germany has seen 5 terror attacks from asylum seekers. Do you think that is due to them not being integrated into society?
Yeah, for sure. Yes, for sure. Yes, for sure. If you didn't feel welcome, then you are angry a lot. Then you feel a lot of angry in your body, and then.
But is it right to take your anger out on the German people?
No, it's not. But I see it just like a child. If you didn't take care of your child and didn't listen to your child, it will be making angry things and stupid things.
Sure, but these are like middle-aged men half the time who are, have the old enough.
From both sides. Yeah. The one in Magdeburg was a fully integrated doctor in a hospital. So why he did it? And also we see a lot of attacks from people who are from the right side in Germany. Hanau. 10 people died for nothing, so it's the same.
One argument is that it's due to radical Islam. Do you think that's a case to be argued?
I have so many friends who are Muslim, and Islam is one of the nicest religions, so I didn't think it have anything to do with Islam.
The issue is religion, I think. That's the main problem here. Like religion in all forms, as far as I'm concerned. Where extremism in religion is making people do stuff that is wrong, no matter where you're from. I mean, you're an idiot if you do a terrorist attack, as far as I know.
I mean, when 3 persons are doing something illegal, there are millions more who are my friends, and they are nice people.
I don't think that Islam is the problem. I think that people are the problem. Sure. And the most people are men.
Do you think German tax money should be spent on housing the people coming as refugee?
No, because actually we need the money. Like the taxes, we have to pay a lot of taxes, and I would say maybe a part of it. But these people who are like migrating here, they should pay taxes as well. Yeah.
Do you think that can happen by the government trying to help them find them jobs? Could that be one way that they can do it?
Of course.
Migrants that come here or asylum seekers want to work, but they are not allowed to work.
Yeah.
So they want to contribute to the state and pay their taxes, but they are forbidden to do so. And so, yeah, of course, they should be housed with tax money, because that's a small part of the responsibility that I've talked before.
Maybe Germany should be more fair to pay every refugee the same.
Yeah.
Because I know that they make a huge difference between the refugees from Ukraine and other countries.
Yeah.
Because they get paid more and they get easy access to living spaces and all that stuff. And that should be fair. And I think that is the problem. But I mean, I'm not I'm going to pay for them if they need it. So
would you house one of them if they needed a house?
If I would build a house?
No. would you let them into your house to live if they needed it?
27 square meters apartment. Yeah. If they want to fit in, go for it.
Yeah. How many would you house?
It's barely enough space for me though. So yeah, I don't know.
The government's helping people which are not from Germany, but the people who are in Germany, getting poorer and poorer. The older people who build up this country again, they leave them
get left behind.
Yeah, get left behind, and they have to pick up those bottles and for getting some money. There is a tax also on it. Yeah, this isn't right.
Why do you think the AfD are becoming so popular in Germany right now?
I think that's because everything's more complex and people are afraid of things, and then they are looking for easy solutions. And the AfD at the moment is offering easy solution. So there's one scapegoat, one group of people, which are the people that migrated here. Yeah, it's basically just a lot of hate towards a group of people that is not responsible for the complexity.
Did you ever see the leader of AfD? Oh my God, she's not able to use makeup well. How she can manage a party?
How do you feel in East Berlin specifically? AfD got double their votes this election. How do you feel about this?
Embarrassed.
Yeah.
Definitely embarrassed.
Also giving a racist vibe.
Completely.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's racist? I mean, they've been talking a lot about illegal immigration, people coming into the country unvetted.
Yeah. Because the whole party?
Yeah, the party.
The whole party did so many very sus things. They put plane tickets into the mailbox, mailboxes of German people with migration background,
right.
So that they can go back to your country. Sure. And that is really racist.
And would you support the kind of re-migration that I've been hearing about recently? Would you support this?
From the AfD, the idea of the re-migration is to not just get immigrants that were not accepted here as asylum seekers out of the country, but also Germans that just have a migrational background out of the country, and that I really cannot support because it is against the constitution that we have. Right. And it's really just about the people that are here maybe illegally and don't have their asylum accepted.
We are talking about fascism rising. We have had that 80 years ago, and the people obviously forgot about it, or they don't want to remember.
Do you truly believe these people are like real supporters of that time? Do you think it's evolved to something more neutral or like less aggressive and extreme?
Well, I don't think that these people do want exactly the same that we had from 1933 and so on. Right. Probably not. But 1/5 of the voters, voters vote for Putin. Yeah. This is a fascist. So what? What do you expect? Can you expect from this country?
Yeah, some, I guess, are really right-wing. To be honest, I'm also anxious, really, or a bit scared of the left side.
Really? Why is that?
Yeah, this was so strong, especially on the left side. Come on, here is a former GDR. Yeah. They should remember, of course, the younger generation never experienced. But this was an actual example that socialism or communism really doesn't work. Really, I'm actually worrying also about that.
Yeah, Berlin is very left, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I've heard in general women tend to vote more left. Why do you think that is in Germany?
Because a woman can think, they have like a brain and they use it.
Do you think the opinions in Berlin won't reflect the whole of Germany? Do you think this is just more?
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, look at the election results, right? Where else in Germany did you have the left become the strongest party? Yeah, maybe some other larger cities, but...
Yeah. Do you think it could ever change, that Berlin could become AfD one day or more right? Do you think that could ever happen?
Yeah, I mean, sure, definitely, but... right now, I'm not seeing it, I think. It's still, if it ever happens, it's far off.
Before the election, I met up with Martin, a member of the AfD, and headed to Neukölln, an example of Berlin's uncontrolled mass migration policy with an estimated 48% of the population with a migrant background and a high percentage not having German as their native language. It's where locals say Berlin turns into a broken state as migrants fail to integrate. But before we go there,
as you've probably seen from my videos, talking to both sides can be really challenging. Sometimes it depends on what happens on the day, but that's also the beauty of these videos. However, one way I do stay informed from both sides is by subscribing to Ground News. It's a website and app that collects articles from a wide range of publications. It shows their bias, whether they lean left or right, their factuality, and even who owns them, whether they're state-funded like the BBC or independent like myself. Consuming the news via social media, we're all stuck in our own algorithmic echo chambers. That's why it's really important that we're getting the full perspective. Take this article I found on Ground News about the terror attack in Munich. Car ramming in Munich injures 28 at trade union demonstration. Out of the 486 news articles Ground News found, the right and left frame them very differently. On the left, Washington Post reads, "Car plows into Munich crowd in suspected attack, authorities say." In the centre, Financial Times reads, "Afghan rams car into pedestrians in Munich, injuring 24." And on the right, Irish Independent reads, "At least 30 people injured as asylum seeker drives car into crowd in Munich." You can see on the left, they focus on the vehicle, whereas on the right, they focus on the driver. It's really important when covering sensitive topics that we don't jump to conclusions, but by reading multiple perspectives, we can make better, more informed decisions and truly understand the political divide. That's why I personally use Ground News, especially with how frequently these events are happening. Subscribe to get 40% off their Advantage plan by scanning the QR code on screen or using my link, ground.news/Wesley. Yeah, what's the kind of feeling at the minute with Germans and obviously the recent terror attacks that have happened? Is there kind of a fear amongst the people right now?
There's a fear among the people, and also they are angry. So everybody say after attack, it was so terrible, we are so sad. In my opinion, the AfD is the only party who would change anything.
What is happening to freedom of speech in general in Germany right now? Because I've seen doors being kicked down for tweets online, and similar to what we've seen in England as well.
For example, our Vice Chancellor Robert Habeck from the Green Party was called by a private person, nobody knows him before, I think on Facebook, as a Schwachkopf, something like an idiot.
Okay.
Not even a really bad word. So
it's just like stupid or something.
Yeah, it's quite silly, I would say. But he sued him and he have to pay for this. And I can't believe that you can't criticize your government also on a roadway.
Do you know how much it was, the fine?
I have to look at the newspaper. I think it was 3,000.
3,000 euros?
And
wow.
That's disgusting.
Wow, that's a lot.
People name myself and our party like Nazi, fascist, and so on. Obviously, it's not true, but we say, okay, it's your opinion, do whatever you want. If you call a minister an idiot, you get fined.
Yeah, but you can call someone a Nazi.
Yeah.
I mean, is that not like the worst insult you can call a German, a Nazi? I mean, we hear it a lot. I hear it a lot when I go to protests in the UK, but
yeah,
does it kind of devalue the word if you're just calling anybody a Nazi?
I think it's also a big problem because you're normalizing the crimes of the Nazi party. Because when you say it's being a Nazi when you're pro-free speech or you want only to control the migration, that's Nazi. Yeah. So somebody who is not well educated maybe say, oh, okay, maybe it's not that bad what the Nazis do when this is Nazi. It's the heart of Neukölln, city district where the rents are a bit lower. Many students, but also many migrants.
So here, this is just where migrants tend to live, just because, yeah, lower cost of living.
Yeah, and Muslim communities.
Okay.
So no integration.
Yeah, it's almost like a parallel universe. Every street corner, isn't it? You can't really go anywhere without seeing this sort of thing.
Yeah, you have also a big drug problem here. Here are public toilets. I can show you a picture.
Bloody hell, look at that. Oh, okay. I have to blur that out, but some needles everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's a big mess.
There was right there.
No way. And they say that, you know, migration doesn't increase crime, but would you say there is a high level of crime in places like Neukölln? Is this where there's more crime you're going to find?
So many robberies, drug crimes, and also aggressive people living here. So simple argument can build up to a big problem.
So you feel like these areas almost like a breeding ground for crime, and that's where they choose to live. Do you believe if asylum seekers come to Berlin, they prefer or they will come here rather than integrate into more, say, German national areas, I guess? Would they prefer to come here? Will they come here?
So I think there are different groups. For example, when there are people from Lebanon, then they want to go to areas where other people from the Lebanon are living. They don't want to integrate, they want to live among their people. But in Germany, with state money, then you have areas like this. Back in the days, we have workers from Turkey. They came to Berlin in the 70s. They called them guest worker. It was planned that they came temporary, but then they stayed. Many of them would be housed in this area. So that's why the Turkish community is so big here, more Muslim-leaning community. And so other Muslim communities also came to Neukölln.
So is your idea of remigration in general, although maybe back in the 70s you might have needed those Turkish workers, is your idea that eventually they need to go back to almost empower the country where they came from? So develop the skills here in Germany, but then go back to make, say, Turkey better or Lebanon better. Is that also the argument?
Yeah, absolutely. For example, the asylum seekers from Syria, they came to Germany. Now the war in Syria is finished. We said they have to go home, and also not because we don't want them here, but also because they can help establish the country again. We have the problem that people coming to Germany with nothing, living from state money, also no chance that they're getting integrated because they're living in communities like this where the Germans are in a decline.
And would you say an area like this is kind of an exception in Berlin? You don't get many areas that look like this? Or is this slowly and surely going to be what Berlin could look like in the future?
That's the point. Some years ago it was only a few districts, but they are getting larger and larger. And first of all, it's one kebab shop.
Yeah.
And then on the opposite side, they open a shisha bar and a shop for halal meat and so on. And even more, then you have a street where Muslims are feeling quite well, and then more coming, and so on. Then a mosque open, or a Turkish culture community house, or something else. And then more and more, and people who don't like this, they leave.
And did Germans ask for this? I mean, do you think the average German wants this in their cities and capital cities like Berlin?
No, absolutely not. That's why so many Germans leaving Berlin.
Oh, okay. Local criminal, I think. Just want to be on camera. That's the usual. Are you local to this area?
We are originally from Dresden.
Dresden, okay, so you've come to Berlin. How do you feel coming to an area like this? What's your kind of opinion on migration? Do you think this is good for Germany or bad for Germany?
It's kind of good for the country, you know, because these people make this country so colorful, we think, and we really appreciate it. So we like it. We like that our country is colorful and that many people are here.
Sure, but do you think in areas like this, having a kebab shop and a phone shop on every street corner is a positive thing for Germany?
It's cool. We like kebab. It's cool, yeah. And fuck you after fuck the Nazis, you know.
Right. Is it Nazi for wanting your city to look more German or to have secure borders instead of the open borders that we've seen?
Many people want Germany more safe, and
Sure.
I can understand it, but it's like really bad when they like...
Not the immigrants are the problem.
Sure.
Mostly men are the problem.
In Germany right now, in the past 12 months, you've had 5 terror attacks, all from Afghan, Syrians. Does that pose an issue?
Of course it's bad. It's bad, but there's not only terrorist attacks, there are also many other people and German people who are attacking people, but you don't see it on the media.
Martin, very different opinions to your own. How did you feel about that?
Yeah, it's very typical. The young people came to Berlin for partying and shopping and so on, but they are not confronted with the problems of the city. But it's different when you have to live here. And quite interesting to have all of these shops and have the opportunity to taste different cuisines and so on. But it's only one side.
And in these communities, do you believe it's just, as they say, economic migrants, but as well as that, just young males coming into these places? And just demographically, we know that young males in general, whether which country they come from, they commit more crimes.
Yeah, that's what the people are fearing about. You have also the problem, many Muslim cultures and countries, it's allowed to have more than one woman. Obviously, there are men without a woman, and this let them be more aggressive. And we import also these conflicts when we have the people here.
Germany has an issue with Islamists. Obviously, we've seen the terrorist attacks. Yeah, would you say there's an issue right now in Germany with Islam?
Absolutely. It's not only a religion. You can believe in whatever you want. We have freedom in religious ways, but I think Islam is also for many people a political ideology. That's the problem. They believe that non-Muslim people are bad people. These terror attacks based on it that they believe it's allowed to kill Christians or atheists and so on.
So in general, do you think there's a divide right now in Germany?
Yeah, that's the problem when everybody came to your country. You have problems on so many sides, and they're going into the parties and pushing their ideas forward. You have seen Ferhat Koschak from Die Linke, here Hakan Demir. It's not very typical German. And they're running for Bundestag and they're putting their ideas into our laws. I think in Great Britain it's even more worse, because on the regional elections we see that in many cities there are also Muslim candidates and parties that are winning, and that's something we would see in Germany also in the future. You see the sign Ahmadi? That's the entrance for the mosque. There are places where the extremist ideology of these tourists is building up and preach there. I don't know what these guys doing, but it's an example how this...
Okay. Do you like living here in this area?
Yeah, but it's back in the days, yes, but not anymore.
Do you think it's a problem that this area doesn't look very German?
It's not even anymore mixed. There is no mix. Totally fucked up.
What in particular do you think is bad about having one, say, nationality or one culture in the area. What is bad about this?
Here's no integration. The integration doesn't work, and people coming to this place, but there's no integration. Alles Gute.
Is he a German local, do you think, or has he just lived here long enough that he probably has German citizenship?
I think he has some Turkish roots.
Okay.
Maybe mixed.
But interesting to see that he has this point of view that, not enough is being done to integrate, and he's lived here long enough to see the change. And like you said, Germany is changing and Berlin is changing.
Basically said that Neukölln was every time a mixed place. I think he mean you lost the German side of the mix here.
Hello, you speak English?
Nein. Nein.
Ah, okay. Do you want to translate?
Was denkt ihr über diese Umgebung hier?
Arabisch. Arabisch. You don't speak German? No German? Okay. No worries. Okay, thank you. No German?
No German.
So as you saw with that shopkeeper just there, we just spoke to him and we asked him if he spoke English, if he spoke if he spoke German. He said no to both. He speaks Arabic. So that's the kind of scenario you're having in this area, that Arabic speakers are just communicating and living amongst each other. So if you speak to most people from Berlin about this area, what would they say?
That they don't want to live here. You see, it's not a nice place. You can't speak in your own language here. Everybody who can afford to live in other places are going to other places.
So me and Martin just walked through this park, and if you just go to the top of it, you're going to find how many drug dealers were there, about at least 5 or 6, isn't there?
Yeah.
This is what's happening on just your local park in these kind of areas. There's not kids playing football or playing on the swings. It's just go out and see a couple of drug dealers. Certain nationalities we were seeing as well. They weren't the local Germans selling the drugs I saw.
No, it's people, I think these guys were from Africa. The second group is something Arabic.
How is it to raise a family here in Germany at the minute?
We have schools here in Berlin where a percentage of migrations up to 80%. When you take your children to school, they lost their German language.
Right.
Because there are so many people from Arabic states or Turkish people, they can't talk German.
So foreign children are integrating though? Do the teachers allow them to adapt and learn the language, or is it kind of a case where the Germans have to adapt to them?
I think it's the second case. So there is no integration when you are the only German in the class.
Yeah.
So you have to integrate in the migrant group.
Sure. And you think that's the kind of future of Berlin and Germany as a whole, that there's just going to be less and less Germans?
I hope not. That's why I do politics. For example, we are fighting for, there is a strict quote of percentages. What's the highest rate of non-German talking children in classes?
Sure.
And we want tests before you go to school. You have to check that you're speaking German, obviously based on the age level. When you don't talk German, you learn nothing. And it's also a big problem for the migrant children, because you're going every day to school and you don't understand anything. So obviously become more aggressive when they're getting older.
Sure, I found this online the other day. It was about Berlin, and it was 2023 top 3 children's names.
Yeah.
Number 3 is Adam. Number 2 is Noah. Do you want to have a guess what number 1 is?
Mohammed.
Yeah. How does that make you feel as a German, Mohammed being the most popular boy's name in Germany?
Yeah, it's a problem. So we want to keep Germany as a German country. So we have no problems with people from other nations, but it's a quantity. So there are too many, and Germany is changing really fast and lost their identity.
It seems like Germany is becoming more and more woke. I mean, you mentioned before they're not speaking German in their classes.
Yeah.
A boy now can be a girl can be a boy. Where do you think it ends? I mean, what does the future of Germany look like even a couple of years' time now?
We are on a turning point at the moment, so it was too much. On a moral way, we are rising up. So we are here in Charlottenburg in the Sohrstraße, and this looks like a normal office building. At the moment it is a normal office building, but the politicians of Berlin, they want to make a asylum seeker accommodation here. So they reconstruct the building for over 100 million euro.
Wow.
And then there are places for 1,500 people. And here in this area, you see it's quite normal. You have working class people, teachers and so on here. And so they are protested against this. And now the Berlin government have the brilliant idea to only keep 950 asylum seekers in here. And the other places they want to give to students. I also asked the mayor of this district, would you put your daughter when she goes to university into a house with 950 Afghans, Syrians and so on? She shouted at me, these are racist thinking. I can't believe you said this. I say, answer the question. Would you do this? Didn't get an answer. So.
Wow. So with this place, they would have students as well as asylum seekers share accommodation.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, we have this argument in the UK about putting the homeless people in there first. Do you have this kind of argument too in Germany?
Yeah, that's also a discussion here. But homeless people in Berlin is also, in many cases, a migrant problem. I would say you also can solve this problem in many cases with re-migration. So.
Yeah, that's been a big policy with AFD, isn't it?
Yeah.
About remigration. Also been recently data that's been published by, I think it's by the IFO. They said there was no correlation with increased migrants in an area and increased crime. Do you believe that?
I don't believe it, and I think the IFO also didn't do this because they say migrants are more likely to do crimes because they live in areas where the people are doing more crimes. So that's not the way you can argument. I think it's bullshit, this paper. If you look at the statistics, crimes on sexual harassment, like rapes and so on, people from Afghanistan, for example, 40 times more often doing crimes like this.
Yeah.
These are points you can't deny.
Yeah, and you're talking about the per capita stats because obviously there's more Germans than there are Afghans.
Yeah.
So do you feel at the moment Germany are just importing problems that wouldn't be there or would be decreased if these asylum seekers and migrants weren't here?
We're importing them. You can't see an end. That's why we say, first of all, is secure the border. When you don't do this, you can't solve any problem. Yeah?
So you think overall, the migrants that you're bringing in are a net negative to Berlin? They're not adding anything positive overall to the city and maybe to Germany as well?
In general, yes. There are obviously exceptions from this. We have no problems with Japanese people or people from Poland or so on. We have a problem on the quality of the people that come. Often our politicians talk, we need well-experienced workers. But when you have so high taxes like Germany, why should he come to Germany, pay like the half of the getting paid to the state? They're going to places like Switzerland or the US where they get well paid and have less taxes.
So wouldn't you argue that potentially could be more a government issue where the government should be putting in policies, for example, reducing taxes that attracts more German citizens to stay in cities like Berlin?
Yeah.
Like, could you also argue that it's not the migrants' fault? It could be to do with tax policies to keep Germany German, basically.
I would say it's never be the fault of the migrants. I can understand that you want to come to Germany and have a better life here, but it's the task of the state, of the government, to control it. At the moment we have open borders and say everybody is welcome, and then bad people say, hey, I'm also everybody. I can come and do whatever I want. Yeah, we have a big problem in Berlin with clans, families like the mafia, but from Palestine or Lebanon and so on. They are controlling the drug market, doing prostitution.
So similar to the UK, your argument is that if you look at the types of crimes that are being committed, then you can point to the so-called illegal migrants who have come to the country, commit theft, knife crime.
Yeah,
they're the ones you're pointing at.
Yeah, knife crime is a big deal at the moment in Germany. We have so many cases. When you are in a big city, it can happen everywhere and every time. So
it seems like it doesn't matter where you are, UK, Europe, everyone's living with this fear.
Yeah.
And a fear that we didn't once have. I think it's gotten higher.
Yeah.
Yeah, for everyone, isn't it?
The planned accommodation in Charlottenburg highlights Berlin's overcrowded asylum system. After the election, 155 Afghans were flown into Berlin. Many will likely end up at Europe's largest refugee centre, the former Tegel Airport.
Alright guys, so I'm right outside Tegel Airport. The only way to get there is by bus. So I'm going to get this 410 bus which takes you to the airport, but this is where they're housing over 5,000 refugees that have come mostly from Ukraine. I'm not sure if I'm going to get access, but we're going to try and head there. It's literally just across this bridge. Apparently the only way to get there is by some sort of free shuttle bus that they offer to refugees that do come here. So hopefully we'll get in and speak to some people. If not, we can just film on the outside. But you can just see the scale of it just here. It's all completely fenced off. People have compared this online to a prison. You kind of get a bit of a view of it.
After going through their own security, I wasn't given access to film inside the accommodation and was eventually told to leave.
So people want to go to the city centre, they have to take this bus like we're doing now. Here you can see how many people are in this bus. But yeah, really interesting. People would have travelled hundreds of miles just to be here in search of a better life here in Germany. Didn't manage to speak to many of the refugees. They watched me very closely with the camera as I was there, so I couldn't film. But maybe when we get off the bus, potentially we could. So yeah guys, everyone who just got off this bus is literally from the refugee centre. And I guess some of them maybe will hang around here, but the rest of them are going to go to the city centre. Yeah, let me show you guys actually how it looks. Hey bro, are you from here?
No.
Okay. You live here?
I was lived here. Totally disaster.
Really? But now you have a job?
No, I don't have a job. I have a job before, but now I ended my German course.
Why did you live there 1 year? That's a long time.
Yeah, and this it's horrible. Horrible food, horrible sleeping place because it's a lot of people in one quadrat square.
Do they share the room with like Ukraine people? Ukraine stay together, or you're with anyone?
There is a lot of people from Ukraine, some from Afghanistan, Serbia, but little bit separated.
Why did you stay there for 1 year? That's too long. I thought maybe 1 or 2 months people stay here, no?
No, every time they make for longer and longer time. This place make for 26 days to stay in here, but every 26 days they make longer. Some people live here for 3 years, and they can't take any job because they have older people. They have like 60, 17 years. They can't find a job, and no one helps them to find a better place to live in.
So it's complete mess. They just live there. They can't do anything.
It's just they make just a camp like in forest, and let's all live there. And
but how do you leave? You said 1 year you left. How did you leave?
At first I find a job. I started course. I ended at A2 level and find a job. Work for 6 months, and I'm renting a room from families.
Oh, so you did it all by yourself?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
But I lost a previous job because they don't give me all supplies to cleaning. I was cleaner.
That's fine.
And it's very horrible.
For you, you said you learned German A2 level, right?
Now I am B1.
Okay, but without German, you think you can't find a job here?
I can't go into my job. I am CNC operator in Ukraine. I'm working with the hard metals. And here I can't improve in all my abilities before I passed B2 to German. I have a problem with brain. I was military. I was surgeon.
Oh, right, okay.
I was in coma 1 month.
Wow.
It's some
wow. But anyway, you find your feet here in Germany. I think that's really amazing. I think that's
yeah.
Yeah, because people usually say that refugees come to Germany, they don't do anything, they take money from the government, but it seems like...
Yeah, it's a lot of people, and I know a lot of people who work for a dark side and taking money from the government, and they still living here.
Yeah, I think that's quite nice though. I think there's like good and bad, I guess, but yeah, you're someone who's definitely like learned the language, found a job. Yeah, I mean, yeah, good on you.
I've tried, but I think it will be very hard to pass Schreiben and Deutsch.
Well, if it's
last time I write half from English, half from Deutsch.
Well, maybe got some German fans can teach him German. Yeah. I'm sure people will help you learn German.
Oh,
do you want to give me your email? Do you have an email?
Yeah.
Give me your email. I'm sure someone will teach you German.
I spent some time speaking with people outside the airport, all of whom were from Ukraine. No one really had a good word to say about it. The most shocking part was that they could be living here for over a year. The main reason for this is a massive backlog preventing people from starting integration courses.
So lots of different stories in this refugee centre. It's why this is the biggest one within Europe. Some of the workers actually told me it's near 8,000 people probably living here now. It's not just Ukrainians though, people from the Middle East, Afghanistan. One of the first guys told us, you know, you get some good ones, but you also get some bad ones. So a real mix. There's like 20 people sharing a hut. We drove past some of the huts that we didn't really get to go inside of them. You know, illness and disease can spread in those places, so I guess that's more taxpayers' money spent on healthcare. So there's this argument, you know, if Germany really is full and Europe is full, should we be helping all these refugees? I mean, should there be a limit, or can you really accommodate all these people? But I thought I'd just come here, guys, show you what's happening at the Tegel airport. I want to actually go in and show you what it's like. Didn't really get to do that, but at least we got to hear some stories. But this was the Tegel airport, and this was Germany. I'll see you for the next one. First day in Berlin, and we've already found some scammers. It's a scam. Scammers. Yeah, look at you guys. Terrible.
Say ciao with sign.
What is this? You speak English? Okay, the National for Disabled. Okay, you're deaf? Ah, no? Okay, I write here. Okay. I put on me.
Where are you from? Me? Berlin. Berlin.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what?
Signature city?
Ah, signature. Okay. City. Okay.
Where are you from? It's how much okay, donation is for operation.
Donation. Oh, you want money? Why you want money?
How much? It's for operation is there.
Ah, I thought I just write it. I have no money.
Excuse me, it's about the signature and donation.
Ah, can you read my name? It says SCAMMER. I have no money. I have no money. Ah, okay. I can write for you. You have a pen? Okay, I donate 0.
No.
Is okay? Is okay? Scammer. We have a scammer. Scammer. It's not real. It's all fake.
But even if they are scammers.
It's a scam. It's a scam. Scammers. We have some scammers here, guys. Check them out.